So yeah, we're going to move back into our space. Okay. Great. So we're going to start off in kneeling, actually. So yeah, this sequence, we did 3 sessions with the shoulders. So I wanted to move on from that, but I didn't want to move into standings again, which is what I was doing before. So we're sort of doing I wanted to move into some lateral work and some back bends. Oh, there's Sue now. Great. Okay. So there is someone. I mean, probably won't be able to see you that well. So what we're going to be doing is working a bit through the shoulders into some lateral work and into some, I would call it really strength and back bending, strength work and back bending. There's no big surprises actually here. So it's it's almost quite a basic practice, but I've never done this sequence before, so I'm interested to see how it works out. But, okay, so we're going to start off with the hands into the lap. Okay. And you can close your eyes. Ideally, you'd be sitting onto your feet, so you get some work into the ankles. If that's not going to work, then you can sit on straddle a bolster or some cushions or some blocks. That's also fine. And then closing your eyes for a moment, allow you to grow your spine. So being aware of the tops of the feet on the floor, contact with the floor, the shins, the knees. And becoming aware of the axis, spine, crown of the head floating up. Connecting in with the breath. The first thing we're going to do is very gentle movement with the breath in a moment. Also connecting with your moods, with the emotional tone that you're experiencing now, whatever that is. If we can gently embrace. The really important quality in yoga, in life, is this quality of gentleness or kindness, warmth, metta. It's a good and helpful response to all sorts of situations, both easy and difficult. So if we can bring kindness into our life, lots of benefits. And it is a practice, so it does mean taking initiative with that. So even if you're feeling out of sorts or grumpy, we can bring a quality of kindness in there. So we're going to open the eyes now and exhale, bring the palms together into Namaste. And then very simple, it's like with an inhale, we're going to sweep the arms out and up, look up. Exhale, palms down the center line. And we'll just do that a few rounds. So it's really gentle movement, inhaling up. You can look up, exhaling back into Namaste. Inhaling, sweeping the arms out. Looking up, exhale. Palms together. So just letting your awareness flow with the movement. Synchronizing the breath with the body or the body with the breath. Next time we exhale, bringing your palms together into Namaste. I want you to then interlace the fingers right down to the roots, just noticing which of your index fingers is on top, pushing the palms away. Very simple pose. Parvatasana. So we're going to reach up through the palms, stretch up through the palms, elbows squeezing in, and then lengthening from a sense of lengthening from the tops of the feet. You can feel that weight going through the front ankles, through the sitting bones, through the side body. The gaze can go straight out to the horizon, sense of lengthening, growing your spine, squeezing the elbows in, and then as we exhale, release out. Palms come round together again, interlacing the fingers, the other index finger is base on top, pushing the palms away, reaching up, pushing up through the palms going towards the sky, towards the ceiling, squeezing the elbows in, breathing there. You can even close the eyes for a moment, taking your attention into the sensations. We're starting fairly gently, building up. Feeling the weight through the front ankles. Inhale, taking your arms wide and down for a moment. So I'd like to come off the feet, come into a simple cross leg. And we're going to come into our first lateral. So, yeah, centering your spine. I'd like you to take your arms out like two wings. And then you're just going to move out to one side. It doesn't really matter which side. And open out the opposite side of the body, lengthening up. I suggest you look down, so it's really easy on your neck. Sliding the lower hand out, keeping both sitting bones down. So the further you move to one side, there's a tendency for the opposite sitting bone to lift. Just see if we can avoid that. Keeping weight in the sitting bones, especially the opposite sitting bone. Legs crossed, and then on an inhale, back up to center. Swinging across to the other side. Opening out on the opposite side. Again, you can slide your lower hand away from you. The lower hand is in line with the sitting bones. Opening out the side body. Breathing there. So this could be quite intense because we can get quite tight in the side body around the lower back. Got the muscle running off the lower ribs onto the top edge of the pelvic crest, the quadratus lumbarum. Can often be a bit tight. Inhale back up to center. Recross your legs, opposite way, winging your arms out to shoulder height, and then once again to your first side, sliding the lower hand along the floor. If you're really flexible here and you can keep your sitting bones down, then you could drop down onto the forearm. That isn't going to work for me, but you could do that. You could lower your lower forearm, lower elbow to the floor, if you can keep the sitting bones down. So the emphasis is keeping grounded through the sitting bones, reaching out with the top arm to the side, more in line with your sitting bones. Inhaling, sweeping back up to center, carefully sweeping to the opposite side, second side, opening out the rib cage, the side body. Keeping a sense of weight in both sitting bones. Sliding the lower hand along the floor. You're really flexible in this direction, the lateral bending of the spine, where you could drop the elbow, start to drop the elbow down towards the floor. And inhale back up to center. Good. I'd like you to come around now into all fours. Okay. And gently taking cat-cow, but emphasizing movement of the lower section of the spine. So as we inhale, lengthening pubic bone through to the nose, as it were. Exhale, rolling the pelvis back. But I'd like to be really aware of what's happening in the lower back. So emphasizing movement in the lower back. Inhale, rolling the pelvis forwards, lengthening pubic bone through the front of the body. Exhale, rolling the pelvis back. We'll just do this 3 or 4 more times on our own breath. You can tuck the toes under. Coming into a neutral all fours, and then lift the pelvis up into dog pose. I like to sort of walk the dog, so we're emphasizing taking weight into one leg, straightening that leg, and then bending the opposite. So it's like you're walking the dog. So this brings a little bit of lateral movement into the pelvis. So it's tipping from one side to the other. So one leg straight, other leg bending. You'll feel that around the hip area. It's like a hip warming, gently warming the hip area. Okay, then from here, we're going to take the full dog. So for a moment, remembering to line up your ears with the upper arms, feet hip width, spreading the toes, grounding the palms, lengthening through the whole length of the body from the palms to the sitting bones down to the heels. They like to pick up your right leg. So we're going to take dragon tail with the right leg. So you open out the right hip, swinging the right leg back, and then we swing this leg forwards, the right leg towards leaping swans. So coming down onto your forearms. Careful with the forward knee here. If you can, allow yourself to completely surrender down to the floor. So we're going to go into a hip stretch, hip rotator. If that's too much, then you can use a bolster to support the chest. And that makes the pose a lot easier because you're not so close to the floor. So you could work with a bolster or some cushions there, if you've got those at hand. Allowing your weight to sink into the right hip, back of the pelvis, more or less level. Okay. I'm just going to discard the bolster. And letting your weight sink down, this yin pose. Connecting with the breath once again. And then from here, I'd like to ground the fingertips. We're going to come into the, as it were, the high swan. So you're going to lift up into the back bend. So we're going to come into back bend a bit later on in the sequence. So this is an extension of the spine. You can take your gaze up Obviously, you'll feel more compression in the lower spine here. So if that's too intense, then bring yourself a bit closer to the floor, bring yourself onto the palms. Allow your chest to come forwards more and down. Otherwise, you're lifting up through the spine, taking the gaze up, and you're on your fingertips. Again, we're working into the hip area, but now emphasizing the extension of the spine. And then from there, we drop down onto the right hip. So we've done this before, sometimes called the goddess pose. We drop onto the right hip and turn towards the left. This is where we come into, again, a lateral extension. So I'm going to move my right hand a little bit forwards and into the center line, and then bend up the back leg as much as my thigh will allow. And then I'm hooking my elbow there, and I'm turning towards the left. Okay, so I'm propping myself up on my right arm and turning towards the left. So I can feel quite an intense leg stretch in the thigh there, also into the side body. Okay, so we're into a lateral extension. You can play with the position of the forward hand. If you want a little bit more lift, bring it in closer to the body. It really depends on your body. If that's too intense with the back leg, you can just leave the back leg out and rest the top arm down, the left arm down, okay, for less work. Breathing, again, taking the gaze to the left, feeling the work in the right side of the body, connecting with what's happening in the left thigh, left hip. Exhaling, releasing the left leg back, swinging around carefully, coming back into all fours and then into dog pose. From dog pose, we're going to do the walking of the dog again. So stretching one leg, straightening one leg, bending the opposite. A few times on each side. You feel a little bit looser now in the hips. Certainly on the, both sides we've worked actually. We've worked the front thigh on the left side and the hip rotators on the right side. So we're going to do the opposite. So the left leg comes up into the dragon tail, as it's sometimes called, opening the left thigh and springing the left leg forwards into sleeping swan. So you come down as close to the floor as your body allows, or you wish to, so you can even rest right down over that left leg. Careful with the knee. We are aware that the alternative for this, I'm just trying to remember if Sue has issues around the knees. So an alternative is this version, right? The thread the needle, as it's sometimes called. So I've got my left ankle on the right hip, and it's less loading for the knee and the hip joint. So I'm facing up. Otherwise, we're staying there. If we can, in sleeping swan for a few more breaths, allowing your weight to sink down to the floor. Really a yin pose. Connecting with the breath, sensations. So we're going to change this pose into a gentle back bend. So I'd like you to place your fingertips about level with the front knee or behind the line of the front knee, and then you lift up. Personally, I quite like to lift the pelvis a little bit here to get a little bit more height underneath me. Okay, so a way of adapting this would be to have a bolster under the back leg as well, just to show that. So it's less intense work. So I'm supporting the pelvis effectively. So looking up if you can, extending through the spine, breathing, opening up as much as your body allows. And then from there, okay, so we're going to drop down now onto the left buttock, turning to our right, bringing my left hand towards the center line, bending up the back leg, which is quite a complex pose, looking to the right, goddess pose. So the idea here is to try to be as yin-like in the pose as possible. So I'm using my left hand and arm as a prop. So I'm propping up on the left hand. So it might be helpful to bring the left hand closer in towards the body, looking out to my right, and then I'm hooking my right foot in the right elbow. Allowing the weight to sink through the left hip, left sitting bone. Lifting gently towards the crown. There's a general sense of laying your weight, sink into the left hand as I'm turning. So we're going to look at a little bit towards the end at a couple of rotations as well. This is a mixture of rotation, lateral extension, and hip stretch. Quite complex pose. From there, releasing out. Right leg coming down, swinging around to all fours. Swinging up into dog pose for a moment. Lining up your head with the upper arms. Separating your feet hip width, allowing the heels to descend. Feeling a sense of openness now in the legs, in the hips. Okay, then coming down now onto, so I'm going to come into a side plank. So I'd like us to turn. I'm going to face we've done this before, so I'm facing towards you. So I'm on my right side. And my shins are parallel to the short edge of the mat. So I've got my feet tucked behind the line of the knees. I've got my right forearm underneath the left shoulder, the right shoulder. The shoulders more or less in line with each other. So I'm on my side. And then I place my left hand onto the left hip. Let's just see if we can do this. So the idea is to, on the inhale, lift into the side plank. So you're not going to see a lot of movement. And as you exhale, you drop the pelvis down. Okay, so you might want to play a little bit with the distance between the forearm and the legs. As you inhale, legs together, I'm looking down and I'm lifting. And we'll do this 8 or 10 repetitions. So on an inhale, lifting, looking down, exhale, releasing. Playing with the forearm position, so it may be helpful to go shorter. Inhaling up, exhaling down, 3. So the idea is to bring sense of the knees, the hips and the shoulders into the same plane as you come up on the inhale. 5. And this is gently challenging for the side body, for the upper body. Creating a sense of tone. 7. Let's just do one more. This time we're going to lift and hold for a few breaths. You lift, hold there, just be gentle with your neck. So just taking the gaze down, somewhere towards the floor near your right hand. Breathe there, pushing through the right forearm, opening the chest. There's a broadening across the chest. Winging your left elbow out. Pausing there just for a few moments and then release down. Okay, carefully swinging round to all fours. We'll come into cat-cow, but now I'd like to emphasize moving through the upper back. So as we exhale, looking through to the thighs on the inhale, lengthening through the front of the chest to the throat, towards the chin, emphasizing moving between the shoulder blades. Inhale, lengthening sternum to chin. Exhale. So sort of looking back through the legs. So we're emphasizing thoracic and neck spine movement, whereas before we were looking more at the lower back. Coming into a neutral all fours, and then you're going to drop down onto your left forearm. Turn, so you're on your left side, more or less lining up your hips with your forearm. Right hand coming onto the right hip. And then a few times, come on the inhale, lifting into the side plank, exhale down. It's like a kind of micro movement, but it's a powerful one, right? So we're supporting the body weight up onto the left forearm. Inhale, coming up, your shins together, knees together. The shins more or less parallel to the short edge of your mat. So that's 4. 5. 7. Okay, on the 8th movement, so you will get a little bit warmer with this. Lifting, holding there. Grounding your left forearm. Again, being careful with the gaze, we're not straining in the neck. Winging out your right elbow. There's a sense of being engaged through the left side of the body. This is creating tone and support down through the body. Sort of building on core, what we call core strength. Postural strength. And from there, releasing down, carefully turning around to all fours and taking cat-cow, where you emphasize moving it through the thoracic spine. So as we exhale, looking back, careful with the inhale. Looking forwards, emphasizing lengthening sternum to chin. A couple of times there. Okay, then just take a rest back, sit back onto your feet. We're going to carry on with this strength work, lengthening through the spine, sitting in Virasana. Okay, so we're going to do the forearm strengthening work. So I want you to drop down now onto your forearms. We did do quite a bit on this the last few sessions. So what I'm suggesting is you cross the thumbs and the index fingers touch. That makes sense. I'll just like that, okay? Or if you want to do something a bit more challenging, you separate the hands so the forearms are parallel to each other, but it is easier where you cross the thumbs and the index fingers come together. And then we're going to lift up into dolphin. So from here, so the head doesn't touch the floor. What we do is we gently swing down a little bit towards the floor. On an inhale and exhale, swing back. So it doesn't need to be a big movement because you're constantly lifting here. You're really engaging the upper body. Exhaling. Lifting up, and it might just be 3 or 4 cycles. I just wanted to incorporate a little bit of that shoulder strengthening work we did earlier in March. And then inhale, back down, sitting back onto your feet again, coming into the upright position. Just rest the hands into your lap, growing your spine, connecting with the breath, sense of releasing the shoulders. Connecting with the sensations around the upper back, the neck, thoracic area. So I'm doing this as a sort of lead in to some upper back work. Okay, so we're going to come down now, once again onto the forearms, and then walk your feet back, tucking the toes under. So we're going to come into the straight, as it were, plank position. So just see how you get on with this. So you may not hold for very long, but we'll just come into a straight plank. So taking that for however many breaths, which might not be very many, 3 or 4 breaths. If it's too intense, just drop to your knees. But the idea is to lower the hips in line with the shoulders and the knees. Okay, so you're making a plank shape. If you want more, if you want stronger work, engaging the legs so the knees are off the floor. Okay, then release down to the floor completely. Surrender to the floor for a moment. Coming into prone, so belly on the floor. Release the arms, completely softening there for a moment. Okay, pushing back, just try that one more time, okay? So either crossing the thumbs, or this time I'm going to try with the forearms parallel to each other into the plank shape, tucking the toes under. I'm walking my feet back, so I want a long base. So more or less shoulders, hips, ankles in one line. Breathing there, keeping the gaze gentle, head in line with the rest of the spine. You can feel everything shaking. Famous plank position. Again, if it's too intense, drop to the knees. That takes some of the load off. And then when you're ready, dropping to the floor, coming right down to the floor, releasing into prone. Tops the feet on the floor. So what I'd like to do now is line up more or less your feet with each hip. So coming into the feet separate. Tops the feet on the floor now. So they're gently pressing towards the floor. And then bring the hands back just underneath the elbows. It's like preparation for Shalabhasana, which is where we're going to go now. So we're going to start off gently. So first of all, on an inhale, I like to lift the gaze, lift the head, lifting up to the lower ribs. And then as you exhale, you lower yourself down. Very simple. So you can play around with the hand position. Maybe it's helpful to go a little bit wider with the hands, a little bit further back, a little bit further forwards. Inhale, lifting up. The feet stay grounded. As you exhale, you come down. So we're working down through the spinal muscles, the spinal column. Inhale, lifting. Sometimes called the spinal erecti muscles. So it's like a chain of muscles that run parallel to the spine. Really important for keeping a sense of strength and stability in the spine. As you inhale, come up. As you exhale, you go down. We'll do that 5 times. So just one more time there. Elbows slightly tucked in. And release. From there, coming up into all fours. And then we're going to release back into child's pose. And I suggest you thread your arms through your legs. So you're in resting child's pose. Resting your forehead down. Reconnecting with the breath. Inhale, coming through all fours and back down onto the belly, to the prone. And feet about hip width, tops of the feet on the floor. And then I want you to interlace your fingers now behind you, your thumbs resting on your buttocks. And we're going to try Shalabhasana with the arms bound. So you can lift the thumbs a little bit away from the body. So with an inhale, I like you to lift the chest and reach back through the backs of the hands. You're pushing the arms away from you, a sense of lengthening the arms back. Gaze down. So the shoulder blades do sort of squeeze in towards each other. And lengthening back there. Breathing. Try and keep the tops of the feet down, thumbs slightly away from the buttocks. Shalabhasana, arms and release down. Take a pause so you can completely release the hands, just noticing which of your index fingers is on top. Release your arms for a moment. Feeling the floor, supporting the belly, the chest, the arms, the legs. Interlace the fingers once again behind you. This time, the opposite interlace. A bit like what we did at the beginning with the mountain pose. So we're changing the interlace. Maybe this way doesn't feel so natural. As you inhale, pull back, but then breathe. You're going to probably be taking shorter breaths here, just because of the positioning of the belly in relation to the floor. Inhaling, exhaling as your body needs. Gaze forwards and down. Arms going back and the thumbs slightly lifting away from the buttocks. Tops of the feet on the floor. Breathing there. So it feels like you're really engaging the upper back muscles. Where they're kind of switched on. Engaged as well as the arms. And then release down. Releasing the hands. Powerful pose, very simple, again with the intention to strengthen the spinal muscles. So we're going to take our awareness now down into the legs. So I'd like you to bring the hands once again just underneath the elbows, but we're not going to lift the head this time. So you can rest the chin down if you prefer, or the forehead. Feet hip width, and you lengthen your legs out. Okay, so we would have done this before. It's called movement in 4 parts. So as you inhale, you lift your left leg off the floor, straight leg, and exhale, bend the knee lifting. Inhale, extend the leg. Exhale, lower the leg down. So if you're not sure about that, you could just watch what I'm doing. Inhale, lift the leg, opposite leg. That's the right side. Exhale, bend. Inhale, extend the right leg. And exhale, down. So we switch back to the first side, the left side. Inhale, lengthening. Your right leg can ground. Exhale, bend. Inhale, extend. Leg lifting still. Exhale, down. The left leg. Switch to your right side. Inhale, lifting. You can gently press through the hands, keeping a sense of the elbows in. Extending on the inhale, exhale, down. So alternate between 2 sides for a while. If you prefer, resting your chin down. And quite deliberate movements with the breath. Inhale, we're lifting, legs straight. Exhale, we're bending, legs still lifting. Inhale, extend. Legs still lifting, exhale, down. So just one more on each side. And rest. From there, inhale, coming to all fours. Exhale, just sit back on your feet for a moment in the upright position. So you can just take in the space around you. Spine long, releasing the shoulders. So very much kind of the Bhujangasanas are very much in the prone position. So we're sort of very aware of the floor underneath the head, underneath the face. From there, inhaling, all fours, coming back down into prone. This is the last position in prone. So coming into, we're going to have a go at Bodhiyoga-54-lateral-to-backbends. So I'd like to bend up both legs now. And see if you can reach back for the feet or the ankles. So I quite like to, well, it's easier for me to separate the knees here, wider than the hips. And the movement is in two parts. So the first part you could say is exhale, you push the shins away, let the chest lift. And then the second part is to lift the knees off the floor. So we're exhaling, pushing the shins away. Inhale, lifting the knees. Exhale, pushing the shins. Inhale, lifting the knees. The upper body just follows the legs. There's more leg work than anything. Breathing now. So again, push the shins away on the exhale. Inhale, lift the knees. And release down. Take a pause. In prone, release your arms. Completely surrendering there for a moment. Again, powerful poses working into your spinal column, into the hip area. Working the legs. Let's try that one more time, Dhanurasana. So taking hold of the lower shin or the feet or the ankles. And working with the breath. As you exhale, push the shins away. Inhale, lift the knees. Exhale, push the shins. Inhale, lift the knees. Allow the upper body to follow, to open out. The arms are sort of passive, a bit like two straps. Obviously you're holding on there, but you're doing the work with the legs. Lifting the knees on the inhale, pushing the shins away. Exhale. Great. And then releasing down. Dhanurasana, bow pose. Again, sweeping up into all fours, sitting back onto your feet. Just taking a moment to take in the space around you in the upright position. So I want us to have a go at one more back bend, okay? So this is, yeah, I really appreciate Sadhata for showing us this work. So let's see. Yeah, if you can do without a bolster, that's better. So we bring the hands onto the hips and then we lift up. So let me just explain this actually. I mean, we teach this on teacher training. So the pelvis comes forward slightly and then you lift up, but we're not trying to lift too high. Keeping this relationship between the upper body and the legs, and then you exhale, you lower yourself down just before you touch the heels with the buttocks. You inhale, you come back up. So it's really strong work for the thighs, yeah? As you exhale, you lower yourself down. Inhale, lift up, but we're keeping this kind of area front of the pelvis quite closed. So it's like almost like squeezing the belly towards the thighs, just quite close. So just do that 3 or 4 times. Hands on the hips, and then just rest. So it's pretty intense on the thighs, okay? So just try that once, 3 or 4 times, and then take a rest. Wow, it's getting warm in here. Gonna open. Wow, okay, so let's just try that one more time. So I'm bringing the hands, actually with the fingers coming around the front of the pelvis. There's a sense of that area that I'm talking about in front of the pelvis, staying closed. So you tip forwards, and then you lift up on the inhale. So I'm saying leaning forwards, exhale, lowering down. Shins pressing towards the floor, inhaling, coming up. Try not to drop all the way back down to the heels. You're just touching the buttocks towards the heels, and then we inhale back up again. There's really strong work for the thighs. But now, the next inhale, I want you to come all the way up. And then, yeah, there's a sense of growing your spine. Okay, separating your knees a little bit. Breathing there, and then release down. Take a pause. Hands into your lap for a moment. Growing the spine. Closing the eyes. So we'll have a look at, from here then, Ustrasana. So we'll do it in stages. So we're on an inhale, you just sweep up. Bring the hips over your knees. So if you do need to put more padding underneath the knees, that's fine. So to make this easy, we're going to tuck the toes under so it lifts the heels, okay? And then we'll take the left arm up, reach up, and then we're going to look back towards the right heel and reach for the right heel with the right hand. And then lift the chest as well as move the pelvis forwards. There's got an element of working just one side of the body. I suggest you keep looking down to your right side. Breathing there. Inhale. Back up to center, palms together, for example. Hips over the knees. Feet tucked under. Go to the opposite side. So you're looking down towards your left foot. Right arm reaches up. Left hand reaches down. Opening out through the right side of the body. Looking down. Inhale back up to center. Palms together. Let's just do that one more time on each side. So opening out on the inhale. And then breathing in the pose. The thighs now can move forwards. So gently squeezing the pelvis forward through the buttocks. Gently moving the pelvis forwards. Inhale back to center. Palms together and switch side. So I'm looking down to my left, reaching up to the right arm. The pelvis moving forwards. Okay, and then releasing down, palms together. Just drop down for a moment and rest. Sitting on the feet. So just one last detail. When we come into Ustrasana, be wise not to take the head back unless you're really familiar with working with the head. It's very easy to throw the head back and feel quite disorientated. In fact, quite uncomfortable in the head. Okay, so keep the head looking forward. So we're going to come up onto both shins again, separating the feet, tucking the toes under. So this time we're going to take palms in front of us, lifting the sternum. But this time I'm going to take both hands back. So keep looking forwards and reach back for both ankles, maybe one at a time. Once you've got your heels or ankles, yeah, lifting the chest, lifting the pelvis forward, but keep looking forwards, okay? Lifting the chest, thighs moving forwards. Keep looking forwards. Breathing there, and then on an exhale, carefully lifting up and coming down at the same time, palms together, tucking the feet back, rest for a moment. Take a pause. So being really gentle with the coming in and going out, okay, of this pose. I'm going to do one more time. See if you can this time have the tops of the feet on the floor. So it's a stronger back bend, okay? So we come up onto the shins, but now the feet tucked back, as it were. So the tops of the feet on the floor, coming into Namaste, lifting through the spinal column, lifting the chest, the sense of arching back already, gaze forwards, and then we reach back one at a time, or both together, lifting the chest, lifting the thighs forwards, gently pushing the pelvis forwards. In Ustrasana, I'm going to keep the gaze also forward, so I'm not putting the neck in any risk at all. Breathing there. And to come out, there's a sense of lifting and dropping at the same time. Palms together for a moment, resting onto the feet, closing the eyes, coming into stillness. So Ustrasana, camel pose. Okay, so from here, yeah, I'm going to extend both legs out in front of us. And I'm going to come into sort of wind down sequence now. So I'd like us to bring the right foot back and then embrace the right shin. And a sense of growing the spine again, growing the spine, embracing the right shin. So I'm folding the arms around the right shin and lifting gently up. And I want us to take the right hand behind us in line with with the sacrum, so center line. Extend the left arm forwards and then wrapping the left arm round the right thigh, coming into Marichyasana with the legs straight, lifting the chest, lifting the gaze, taking the gaze to the right, gently turning through the spine as well as lengthening. Once you've got this pose set up, so if you can rest for a few breaths in the pose, so you're using your back hand as a prop. Extending down through the left leg. Sense of broadening across the chest, broadening between the shoulder blades. Exhaling, releasing around the center. Extending both legs along the floor. So sometimes it is helpful to have some, I should have said this before, but you can sit on something. So you sit a bit higher. So you might want to sit on a cushion or a block. I'm just going to try quite a high raise. I'm going to sit up on the bolster. So again, embracing now the left leg, growing the spine. It's also interesting to work without props as well. Taking the left hand behind me, extending the right hand forwards and then wrapping the forearm round the shin, round the left thigh, and gently lifting. So what will happen with a bit more height is it will give you a sense of more lift through the spine, which is helpful when you're doing twists. But it might feel less grounded, okay, in terms of weight going through the sitting bones, going into the floor. But it will give you a bit more sense of space, perhaps to move. Okay, so we're turning, the gaze is lifting towards the horizon, turning towards the left. Sense of broadening across the tops of the shoulders, between the shoulder blades, across the collarbones. Again, connecting with the breath. So just once you set it up, see if you can rest in the pose for a few moments. It's a growing of spine. Okay, then releasing back around to the center. So I'm going to come back to the floor here, take the bolster out. And so second twist, I'd like us to, let's just think about, yeah, so bending now the left leg in towards you, and then bring your right leg back up again. So I've got I'll just do this facing the camera, that'd be easy. So the left shin is folding in, the right knee is up. Again, I'm embracing the right thigh, growing the spine. So this will feel a little bit different. It's less anchored because you're not having the left leg straight. Turning again to the right, taking the left arm forward, wrapping, and turning to your right side. Growing the spine there. Again, the gaze towards the horizon. Turning towards, so I'm suggesting we wrap rather than hook the arm, so we can keep a sense of breadth across the tops of the shoulders and breadth between the shoulder blades. Yeah? As soon as we start to hook, you could end up losing that. Okay, so wrapping the forearm, it allows a bit more sort of broadening to happen in the rib cage. Okay. Sense of sitting bones down. Again, you could sit on a raise here, but you'd want a lower raise. The bolster would be too high. Just like one brick, for example, to get a bit more height under the sitting bones to grow the spine. Either way, the aim is to grow the spine and turn. We'll close the eyes for a few breaths, for a few moments. Being in Sukha Malichyasana, so we've got Sukhasana in the left leg, so you can feel the left groin opening there. You turn to your right. And release around the center. Setting yourself up on the opposite side. Right shin grounded, left shin in the upright position, starting out with growing the spine by embracing, reaching behind you with the left hand, got the wall there, reaching with the right arm and wrapping, turning towards the left, the gaze towards the horizon, growing the spine. So looking to get a sense of alignment from the sitting bones, sacrum, pelvis, up through the spine, keeping a sense of lengthening through the spine as we turn. So I found it helpful to keep the hands fairly active, a sense of broadening the palms, both sides. So there's this idea of Hasta Bandha, so it's broadening, lengthening of the hand, reflects broadening and opening of the chest area, Uddiyana Bandha. For those of you familiar with the bandhas. So the Hasta Bandha is expressed through the hand, Uddiyana Bandha expressed through the upper body. And releasing back round to center. Okay, and I'm going to come down onto our back. Just need to check. Completely lost track of time. Okay, we're good. Okay, so I want you to lie down onto your back and interlace the fingers. You make like a pillow with your hands, the head resting into the pillow. So this is a classic lateral stretch. Often we do this at the beginning of a session, but we're going to do this as the penultimate. So I want you to bring your feet to the left. So you walk your feet to the left, but try to keep the pelvis level, and then you walk the upper body around, sometimes called banana pose, right? So the elbows stay down and you're just looking up. For example, I mean, you could look out to one side or the other. Another way of intensifying this, some people like to do this, so you bring your right heel across your left shin. Okay, so just, you might not be able to see that very well, but you take your right heel across your left ankle. So that will slightly intensify the stretch through the right side. So you should feel this like a stretching from the outer right hip down the outer right side of the leg, probably also in the side body, closer to the spine. Cool. Breathing there. See if you can intensify a little bit the movement of the body to the left. And then carefully releasing. So first releasing the legs, coming back round with the body, moving now to the opposite side. So the legs move to the right. Pelvis stays where it is. You maybe hook your left foot over your right shin and moving the upper body to the right. Elbows stay down. Gaze can go, some ways it can go where you like. Of course, you could look out to the left, you could look up, you could even look to the right there. But deciding to do something with the head, with the gaze. Breathing now. So once you've set it up, maybe intensify by hooking the left heel over the right foot and moving the upper body also to the right side. Connecting with the sensation. So maybe it's helpful once you set it up, close the eyes. I find this quite intense around the lower back area. It's an area my body gets quite tight. So it's stretching one side, compressing the other. Reconnecting with the breath. And then from there, carefully releasing out. And we're going to set ourselves up into Shavasana. So I will lead that in a little bit. Okay, so if you want to use a bolster under the knees or some support under the knees, that can be helpful. You could use some support under the back of the head if you want to gently lengthen out the neck that way. And resting the hands wherever you feel is appropriate, either to your side or onto your body. Okay. So just checking as you lie down that you're in a straight line, so sacrum, upper body, head. You could do this thing of gently lifting the pelvis towards the feet, lengthening the neck, embracing yourself and broadening the space between the shoulder blades. I'm going to rest down for the last few minutes of the session. So tuning in with the whole body now. So we move through a mixture of lateral bends, some upper body work, moving into back bends. So I wanted to stay fairly close to the floor. This was a floor-based sequence. Tuning in with your breath. And in this practice now, one of letting go, surrendering to the floor, really surrendering to the earth element, sense of letting go. But just to keep a sense of being more present, more sharply tuned, and just tuning into specific areas of sensations in your body. So it might have highlighted tight areas in your body. So for a few moments, focusing in on that. Sense of releasing the arms, releasing the legs and the feet, the hands and the arms. And for a few moments, a sense of surrendering, earth element. Expanding your awareness to include the whole body again and the breath. Allow you to tune in once again with a sense of your moods, or the emotional experience, and remembering this quality of kindness, gentleness, even if we're feeling like out of sorts or grumpy or irritable, there can be a sense of embracing that with kindness. So we're cultivating what we could call a creative mind, a non-reactive mind, which in a sense is a gem or as a treasure for ourselves and for the world. A non-reactive, creative mind imbibed with kindness, gentleness. And in this last few moments of Shavasana, sense of awareness of your experience is one of change, quality of transformation, change, impermanence. So not being in a hurry to move, but just when you're ready, you can move once again the arms, the limbs, the fingers, toes. So just you roll to one side carefully. Thank you very much. Gosh, I hope that worked with the camera. Thank you very much. And so next week, Sarata says he's gonna